Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolitz. Hoping that you will not skip my ads. It's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
High above the Eastern Palm battlefield, a dramatic shift occurs as the four heavenly kings burst onto the scene. Their arrival cuts through the sky like brilliant comets, igniting a wave of fervor among the troops below. The morning sun glints off their armor, turning them into shining beacons of hope amidst the chaos of war.
Look, it's the four heavenly kings. They're joining the battle.
That's great. With the landworm blood elephant and such powerful combatants, victory is ours.
Charge. Let's support the kings and crush our enemies.
The battlefield, once a scene of despair, transforms within mere moments. The landworm blood elephant, a colossal beast with skin as tough as iron plates, plows through enemy lines. Its massive trunk, capable of uprooting trees, now swings with lethal precision, crushing armor and bone alike. Soldiers cheer as the beast's roar reverberates across the field, a sound both terrifying and exhilarating. Amidst the chaos, Zayn Martel stands calm and imposing. Clad in battle-worn armor, his eyes scan the horizon with a predator's focus. He is a beacon of strength for his allies, his presence alone inspiring those around him to fight with increased vigor.
I don't care who you are, but you're finished this time.
Be good and accept your death. We might let you die quickly.
Unperturbed by the threats, Zayn Martel raises his hands, the air around him crackling with the power of his martial spirit. With a swift motion, he releases a flurry of sword ki, each strand sharp enough to slice through steel. The chi whirls through the air like deadly ribbons, moving with such speed and precision that they seem almost alive. The attackers, young practitioners of the Eastern Palm, are unprepared for Zayn Martel's skill. They had heard tales of his prowess, but the reality of facing such power is overwhelming. Fear creeps into their hearts as their attacks meet only the empty air, or are effortlessly parried by Zayn Martel's swift counterstrikes. The battlefield falls eerily silent for a moment. The only sounds the whistling of Zayn Martel's sword ki and the thuds of defeated enemies hitting the ground. Blood stains the once green grass, a stark reminder of the battle's brutality.
Is this man a monster? How could he be so strong? It's unreal.
As the last of the practitioner's allies fall, a cold realization dawns upon him. He's alone, facing a warrior whose reputation for mercy is as scant as his defeats. His survival instinct kicks in, urging him to flee.
Isn't it too late to run now? You're done for.
As the warrior turns to escape, Zayn Martel's voice cuts through the air, a chilling promise of impending doom. With a flick of his wrist, a blade of pure energy launches from his sword, racing towards its target with unerring accuracy. The blade finds its mark, and the practitioner crumples, his life extinguished in a whisper of dissipating chi. Zayn Martel stands alone amidst the carnage, his figure both majestic and menacing. The sudden silence is broken by a new threat. A dark shadow looms over Zayn Martel, an oppressive aura enveloping him. It's Benjamin, one of the feared four heavenly kings, descending from the sky like a harbinger of death. His smirk is both a challenge and a taunt.
Our general says killing powerful foes like you earns extra rewards. How about your head for a start?
In your dreams.
Well then, prepare for a gruesome end. I'll take your head myself.
With those chilling words, Benjamin extends his hands, casting forth a swirling mass of thick, vision-stealing smoke. The fog, imbued with ancient dark magic, envelops Zayn Martel, attempting to disorient him and obscure his senses. The smoke is not mere vapor, but a living entity of shadow, roiling and coiling around Zayn Martel, who finds himself wrestling not just with a physical opponent, but with the very elements themselves. Each breath becomes a labored gasp, the air thick and unyielding, heavy with the scent of impending doom. Inside the fog, Zayn Martel's thoughts sharpen, his inner calm a stark contrast to the chaos without. He knows the darkness is not just to blind, but to unsettle, to creep into the crevices of his mind and sow doubt. Yet his resolve hardens. The greater the darkness, the brighter his spirit burns.
I love toying with my prey. You're helpless now.
As Benjamin's laughter echoes ominously around him, Hidden within the ghostly whispers of the fog, Zane Martel steadies himself. His eyes, though clouded by the smoke, ignite with an internal fire, the fire of a warrior who has walked through storms and emerged unscathed. With his senses besieged and his visibility nil, Zane Martel reaches inward, tapping into a deep primal force. His energy surges, a torrential wave of power that begins to dissipate the fog, each wave of his hand clearing the air as if sweeping away cobwebs. As the smoke begins to thin, the vague outline of Benjamin becomes clearer. Zane Martel, with his resolve as sharp as the blade he wields, prepares for the confrontation, knowing that the true battle, the clash of titans, has only just begun. The energy radiating from Zane Martel intensifies, casting eerie shadows that dance along the edges of the fog. As he merges with his martial spirit, his body becomes a conduit for an ancient power, his veins glowing with the heat of his heightened power. The smoky veil, once an oppressive shroud, now shatters like glass under the force of his will. With a roar that echoes like thunder, Zane Martel releases a single devastating wave of energy. The force of his retaliation is a spectacle of raw power, a radiant explosion of light and force that cleaves through the darkness. Benjamin, caught in the blast, is severed in two, his body a silhouette against the blinding light.
How is this possible? How could you...
I'm not prey, I'm the hunter.
As Benjamin's bisected form hits the ground, the dense fog that enveloped the battlefield begins to dissipate, drawn away like the tide receding from the shore. The remaining onlookers from the Eastern Palm forces watch in stunned silence, their faces contorted with disbelief and fear. In a frantic scramble, driven by the instinctual fear of a power they cannot comprehend, they flee the scene, their hurried footsteps echoing in the sudden stillness. The battlefield now lies eerily quiet, save for the soft rustling of leaves and the distant calls of crows, drawn to the aftermath of conflict. The air, thick with the scent of magic and freshly turned earth, holds a palpable tension. It is the quiet after the storm, filled with the weight of unanswered questions and the anticipation of what might come next. As Zane Martel stands amidst the carnage, his gaze is both victorious and wary. The battle may have been won, but the war is far from over. Who, then, will be the next to challenge this formidable warrior? Who will dare to enter the arena against a man who has just split a heavenly king in twain? And beyond the visible horizon, in the shadows cast by victory and the fading day, unseen eyes observe. Figures shrouded in the ambiguity of their intentions, calculating and cold, watch Zane Martel. They are the silent arbiters of his fate, waiting for their moment to emerge from the darkness and confront the hunter who has become the hunted. In the midst of a battlefield clouded with dust and cries, Eric Helm's voice rings out, tinged with urgency. The battle had raged since dawn, the air thick with the scent of iron and fear. Soldiers clung to their weapons, their hearts pounding with the thunderous echoes of war.
Zane Martel.
What's wrong? Did you have trouble with an opponent?
Not that. Look over there, we're losing.
Below, the colossal landworm blood elephant wreaked havoc, its massive form casting long, ominous shadows over the soldiers of the Seven Kingdoms Alliance. The beast, a towering creature clad in battle-scarred hide, trampled the earth beneath its gargantuan feet, each step a thunderclap that shook the hearts of men. Around it, the field was strewn with the broken and the dying. The air was rent with their agonized screams, painting a gruesome tapestry of human suffering and despair. Their attempts to pierce its tough skin were futile, a sight of despair and chaos. The soldiers' spears and arrows fell like whispers against the gale, ineffective and ignored. The beast's hide was like forged steel, scarred from countless battles, impervious to the simple iron wielded by mere men.
Zane Martel, why don't we...
You want to stop the landworm blood elephant? All right, I was about to do that too.
I didn't expect you to have the same idea. Let's go.
Eric and Zane charged towards the behemoth, their figures slicing through the miasma of dust and blood. The landworm blood elephant, sensing their approach, turned its massive head, its small eyes glinting with a malevolent intelligence. The earth trembled beneath its weight, and a low, rumbling growl escaped its throat, a sound like grinding boulders.
Every time I face such creatures, I am reminded of the thin line between bravery and folly. Yet here I am, running towards what most would flee from.
As they neared, the chaos around them seemed to slow, as if the world held its breath. The cries of men faded into a distant echo, the clash of steel a muted clatter. All that mattered was the beast before them, its immense presence consuming their world.
Remember, aim for the eyes and underbelly. Those are its only weak spots.
Got it. On your signal, then.
Above the din, the command of a horn sounded, a call to rally that pierced the tumult. It was the signal they had agreed upon, a single lingering note that seemed to hang in the air. In that moment, with a warrior's cry, they lunged. Zane, agile and swift, darted forward, his blade raised high. Eric, with a roar of defiance, followed closely, his own weapon a gleaming arc of silver in the murky air.
Now, Zane. Strike now.
For the Alliance.
Their weapons sang as they struck, a high, clear sound of metal meeting the ancient hide. Sparks flew where Zane's blade met flesh, the beast rearing up in pain and rage. The ground beneath them bucked, and they were thrown to their knees. But the landworm was wounded, its invulnerability breached by their fearless assault. It bellowed, a sound that echoed across the battlefield, rallying the faltering spirits of the Alliance soldiers. Seeing their leaders stand against such a monster infused them with a renewed vigor, their shouts rising in a tumultuous wave.
Look, it bleeds. Our courage can bleed it.
And if it bleeds, we can kill it. Stay with me, Eric. This fight is not over.
Together they stood, their armor dented and smeared with the mud and blood of the battlefield, their faces set in grim determination. Around them, the battle raged on, but for a moment, in the shadow of the landworm, they were the only two warriors in the world, bound by a brotherhood forged in the heat of countless battles. As they prepared for another charge, the landworm's tail swept towards them, a lethal blur in the smoky air.
Duck.
They threw themselves to the ground, the tail passing overhead with a whoosh of displaced air. Rising quickly, they did not pause, their eyes locked on the creature that towered above them, its wounds a testament to their courage. The battle was far from over, but in their hearts, the flame of victory had been kindled. With every beat of their racing hearts, with every breath of the dust-laden air, they fought not just for survival, but for the very soul of their world. As they neared the demonic beast, the sheer aura it emitted was overwhelming. The battlefield quaked under its might. The air was charged with a palpable tension, the ground vibrating as if the very earth shared the soldiers' terror. Above them, the darkened sky was a swirl of chaos, clouds roiling as if to mirror the turmoil below.
Do you think you can get close to the landworm blood elephant? You have to get through us first.
Zane Martel, I've always known you are stronger than this. Leave them to me and focus on the demonic beast. I know you can do it.
Eric's words cut through the din of battle, finding their mark in Zane's heart. With a nod, Zane steeled himself, his gaze locked on the monstrous form ahead. The land around the beast was scarred, torn up by its massive limbs, the earth itself bearing witness to its destructive power. As Eric engaged the enemies with fierce determination, his blade danced a deadly ballet, parrying and striking with the precision of a seasoned warrior. The clang of metal on metal rang out, a testament to his skill and bravery. Meanwhile, Zane Martel moved in, his body slicing through the air with the grace of an eagle. As he ascended above the great beast, his heart pounded in his chest, not just with fear, but with a burning resolve. The wind whipped around him, howling like the spirits of fallen warriors, urging him onward.
Oh? Another one asking for death? Ha! Boring. He's only at the 5th stage of intermediate level. Landworm blood elephant, get rid of him.
The general atop the beast, a formidable figure clad in armor that glinted ominously under the stormy sky, sneered down at Zane. His voice was a venomous drawl, dripping with disdain. But beneath the general's mocking tone, there was a flicker of doubt, a recognition of the courage it took for a lone warrior to face such a behemoth. Zane, hearing the taunt, felt a surge of anger ripple through him. His hands tightened on his weapon, a blade that had been passed down through generations, its edge as keen as his resolve. His ancestors' whispers seemed to merge with the roaring wind, a chorus of encouragement that drowned out the general's scorn.
This is not just my fight. This is the fight of every soul who wishes to see dawn again. I will not falter. I will not fail.
As Zane hovered in the air, the landworm blood elephant reared beneath him. Its massive tusks gleamed like scythes, and its eyes burned with a malevolent fire. The creature's skin was a tapestry of scars, each mark telling a story of battles fought and survived. The stench of blood and carnage wafted from it, a foul reminder of its deadly power. But Zane was undeterred. With a fierce cry, he dove toward the beast, his blade poised for a strike. The wind howled in his ears, a wild symphony that fueled his descent.
Guards, protect the beast!
The general's command was met with immediate action. Guards scrambled, their movements a frantic blur as they positioned themselves to shield the elephant. But their efforts were in chaos, thrown off by the unexpected ferocity and speed of Zane's attack. As Zane neared the beast, time seemed to slow. Every detail stood out in stark relief. The panicked faces of the guards, the rippling muscles of the colossal elephant, and the fierce determination set in Zane's eyes. His blade struck true, slicing through the air with a sound like tearing claws. The battlefield held its breath as the blade made contact. A hush fell over the chaos, a silent pause that seemed to stretch into eternity.
Strike true, Zane.
The impact of the blade was met with a thunderous roar from the beast, a sound that shook the heavens and quaked the earth. But amid the tumult, there was a clarity in Zane's heart, a blazing certainty that they would prevail, that this day would be remembered. This moment, fierce and fleeting, was theirs to seize. Meanwhile, on a distant flying ship high above the clouds of dust and cries of war, Evan Blackwood watches intently. The ship, a marvel of engineering, floats serenely, its deck vibrating with the distant turmoil below. From this vantage point, Evan, a seasoned war strategist and observer, watches the unfolding chaos with a critical eye, his interest sharply piqued by Zane Martell's audacious courage.
It is precisely because Zane Martell has intervened that I am unable to intervene. I want to know how strong he is and how long he could last under the landworm blood elephant.
Beneath him, Zane Martell moves with an almost ethereal grace. His feet barely touch the ground as he performs the wind serpent step, a martial art technique known for its ability to make the practitioner as elusive as the wind itself. The elephant's massive shadow-casting form charges, but Zane, swift and agile, dodges each attack with a dancer's precision.
Mr. Black, lend me the Black Abyss sword.
Brat, again? Can I disagree with you lending the Black Abyss sword?
You know I need it. Thank you, Mr. Black.
With the Black Abyss sword now in hand, Zane's aura undergoes a striking transformation. The air around him thickens, charged with a palpable energy that draws the eyes of friend and foe alike. The blade itself seems to hum with a dark, resonant power, vibrating slightly as if eager to be unleashed.
This ends now.
A terrifying wave of black sword energy erupts from the blade, cleaving the ground as it races towards the giant beast. The energy is a visual spectacle, a swirling, writhing mass of darkness that splits the earth, cutting through the mighty landworm blood elephant with a precision that belies the chaotic energy it embodies. The battlefield falls eerily silent, a collective gasp hanging in the air as the dust settles and the river nearby runs red with the blood of the fallen beast.
Good job. No matter who you are, you're the hero of the Seven Kingdoms Alliance.
So strong. He is much stronger than me. Zane Martell, it seems that I have a long way to go.
The cheers that rise from the ranks of the Seven Kingdoms Alliance are deafening. Soldiers raise their weapons, clanging them against their shields in a rhythm that sounds like victory. Their faces, smeared with dirt and blood, shine with a mixture of awe and renewed hope. As the cheers rise, a question hangs heavy in the air. What will the Eastern Palm do now, their trump card defeated? What new challenges will Zane Martell face, and how will this victory change the course of the war? Stay tuned as the saga of Zane Martell continues to unfold, in a world where power dictates destiny and courage can change the tides of war. What lies ahead for our hero? Only time will tell. High above the battlefield, Evan Blackwood's silhouette stands stark against the setting sun, his figure a lone sentinel watching as history is written below. His thoughts, while hidden, ponder the ramifications of this new power shift. The wheels of strategy turn in his mind, calculating, always calculating. As the sun dips below the horizon, the shadows lengthen, and the world braces for the reverberations of this day's events. In the heart of a roaring battlefield, the Eastern Palm Army stood, eyes wide, mouths agape. Among them, a scene of shock unfolded that would change the course of this war forever. It was Zane Martell, alone against the might of an empire, who felled the landworm blood elephant with a single devastating strike. The field was silent but for the settling dust and the rising tension.
How dare you kill my demon pet? What's your name?
Is that so? Even if I, Zane Martell, didn't slay your beast, someone else surely would.
General Garrett Strong, livid at the loss of his prized creature, his face contorting with rage, demanded Zane Martell's powerful sword, promising a swift death.
Hand over the sword and I will grant you a quick death.
A quick death? Who do you think you are?
As General Garrett Strong, fueled by fury, formed a war saber of pure Yuan Qi, Zane Martell stood undaunted, his aura monstrous, challenging the very earth beneath him.
Let's fight. Why waste your breath? Or are you afraid?
The clash was titanic, energies colliding with the force of nature itself. General Garrett Strong, confident in his mastery of the metal element, found himself taken aback by Zane Martell's unexpected prowess.
No matter your skill, can you truly defeat me, someone who has mastered the metal?
Do you think you're the only one who has tapped into nature's power?
In the heart of a roaring battlefield, the Eastern Palm Army stood, eyes wide, mouths agape. Among them, a scene of shock unfolded that would change the course of this war forever. The battlefield, a tableau of chaos, was still for a moment as the dust hung in the air like a thick fog. Soldiers of the Eastern Palm Army, their armor dented and faces smeared with the grime of battle, watched with bated breath. Their hearts pounded in unison, a rhythm of fear and fascination.
This battlefield, my proving ground or my burial site? No matter, the dance of death continues.
Zane's eyes, hardened by countless battles, scanned the horizon. The carcass of the landworm blood elephant lay beside him, a grotesque testament to his prowess. Its massive body, now devoid of life, painted a grim picture of loss. For some a monster, for others, a beloved creature.
My beloved beast fallen. All the years of training, the battles it fought by my side, reduced to nothing by this insolent swordsman.
Tears, unbidden, welled up in the general's eyes. But they were tears born not of grief, but of burning vengeance. The air around him seemed to simmer with his rising fury, and his voice boomed across the field, laden with a promise of retribution.
You will pay dearly for this insult, not just with your life, Zane, but with your very soul.
As if summoned by his wrath, the ground beneath their feet quivered. The soldiers shuffled uneasily, their gazes shifting between their enraged leader and the stoic figure of Zane Martell, whose calm demeanor formed a stark contrast to the turbulent emotions swirling around him.
Then come, Garrett Strong. Claim your vengeance if you can.
A hush fell over the battlefield as the two titans prepared for a confrontation that would be etched in the annals of their lands. The wind picked up, carrying whispers of past battles and the spirits of fallen warriors, perhaps drawn to witness another epic clash.
Prepare to join the ghosts that haunt these lands, Zane. My wrath will be your end.
Ghosts? I fear not the dead, only the shame of not living bravely. Your threats are as empty as the victories you claim.
With a roar that echoed like thunder, General Garrett Strong drew his sword, a blade as dark as the night and as sharp as his hatred. The metal gleamed under the dying light, a sinister promise of the bloodshed to come. Zane Martell, standing his ground, tightened his grip on his own sword. His blade, notorious across lands for its lethal grace, seemed to hum with anticipation. The tension between the two was palpable, like the charged air before a storm's break.
Let the storm come then. I am ready.
And with those words hanging in the air like the final, around them, the battlefield seemed to hold its breath, the once chaotic clashing of soldiers fading into a distant murmur. Zane's eyes, sharp and piercing, reflected a calm that belied the storm raging within him. This moment, this duel, was not just a test of physical prowess, but a clash of wills, of destinies intertwined with the forces of nature.
Every swing, every block, my blade moves with the wind, my spirit as unyielding as the earth. Will he understand the true essence of power?
The energy around General Garrett surged, his form blurring as he tapped deeper into his elemental mastery. The metallic sheen of his aura shimmered, casting eerie shadows over the battlefield. His eyes, alight with a fierce determination, locked onto Zane.
You underestimate the depths of my resolve, Zane. This ground will bear witness to your defeat.
Zane responded not with words but with action. With a deft maneuver, he redirected the flow of battle. His sword, a flash of silver against the darkening sky, met Garrett's with a clang that resonated like a bell tolling the hour of reckoning. In this dance of blades, each parry and thrust was more than mere combat. It was a dialogue of souls, spoken in the language of steel and spirit. The two warriors, mirror images of resolve and power, circled each other like celestial bodies locked in an eternal orbit.
This is the moment. My resolve against yours. Let the heavens themselves bear witness.
As the duel reached its crescendo, the sky seemed to respond, clouds swirling as if to mimic their movements. A sudden gust of wind whipped across the field, lifting the dust into swirling eddies that mirrored the chaos of the fight.
Feel the weight of the earth beneath you, Zane. Yield to the metal that forges empires.
Yet Zane, with a slight smile, found rhythm in the chaos, his blade slicing through the air with an elegance that belied its deadly intent. His movements were fluid, like water cutting through stone. His strategy clear: turn Garrett's strength against him, using his own elemental force to outbalance.
Your strength is your downfall, Garrett. Like metal, too rigid, too brittle. Watch as it bends before the wind.
The battle, now a blur of motion, sounds, and elemental fury, reached a peak. Each strike from Zane was a call to the wind, each block from Garrett a testament to his earthen resolve. The outcome hung balanced on the edge of a knife, the tension palpable, the resolution imminent.
I stand with the wind at my back, Garrett. Can your metal claim the same?
As their swords met once more, a flash of light erupted from the collision, casting their shadows long and monstrous across the devastated landscape. The echo of their battle cry melded with the roar of the elements, a symphony of conflict that would resonate through the ages. In that instant, Zane Martell moved with the speed of the wind, a blur on the battlefield. The echoes of his swift movements resonated across the fields, blurring the lines between myth and warrior. But before their duel could reach its climax, a new challenger entered, shifting the tides of the encounter.
Ha! General Garrett Strong, you can't even defeat Zane Martell. I thought you could be my opponent.
Evan Blackwood, with a deceitful smile, revealed his true intent, ensnaring both warriors in a trap of water. His sudden betrayal sliced through the air, heavier than any blade could cut. His allegiance with Kevin Strong laid bare, a treachery woven with dark threads of ambition and cunning.
Evan Blackwood, what are you doing?
If I kill you, everyone will think it was Eastern Palm. Kevin Strong will give me what I want. You don't mind another favor, do you?
In the face of treachery, Zane Martell unleashed the Aurora sword skill, a chilling display of his mastery. His sword cutting through the water as if it were mere air. The air hissed, the water split, and a cold silence fell.
How is this possible? My water defeated so easily?
As the water droplets shattered, Zane Martell's eyes blazed with fury, a tempest of wrath and betrayal igniting within him. Ready to end Evan Blackwood's betrayal, his stance tightened, every muscle coiled like a spring.
You don't deserve to live. I'll send you to meet your maker.
As Zane Martell's sword struck true, the fate of Evan Blackwood hung in the balance. Beneath the looming shadow of his blade, the battlefield held its breath. What power does Zane Martell truly hold? Can he turn the tides of this war alone? Stay tuned as the battle for power and survival continues. The ground, once vibrating with the echoes of war, now trembled under the weight of betrayal and mystic forces colliding. As Evan Blackwood clutched at his chest, where the sword had met its mark, his expression twisted into one of shock and despair. Around them, the natural elements seemed to respond to the epic struggle of human wills. The wind howled in anger, and the water that had been Evan's weapon now pooled passively at his feet, reflecting the fading light of his ambitions.
This cannot be my end.
Zane stood back, his breathing heavy but controlled. His eyes, once calm and resolute, now flickered with the fire of justice and vengeance. The field of battle, strewn with the remnants of fallen soldiers and broken allegiances, bore silent witness to his resolve. In the distance, the armies of Eastern Palm and those loyal to Kevin Strong looked on in stunned silence, their fates intertwined with the outcome of this confrontation. Whispers of fear and awe spread like wildfire.
This is not just a battle for survival, but a war for the soul of the land.
As the dust settled, the figure of Zane Martell stood tall against the setting sun, his silhouette a stark symbol of defiance and power. The questions of his destiny, and that of those who would stand against him, hung heavier than the swords at their sides. Stay tuned as the battle for power and survival continues. The journey of Zane Martell, marked by sword and spirit, promises more than just victory. It whispers of legends in the making.